Yo, yo, what's up? What it do? How y'all doing? I gotta. I normally don't do this, right? And I told myself I was gonna start doing it, but I've been getting a whole lot of messages and stuff like that. So dudes been saying, "Man, E, why don't you tell your story?" I got so many stories in my head that's so much more interesting than my personal story. I be wanting to get some of those stories out. But let's get into this one right here, right? I got a lot of subscribers and people that follow the movement and support my movement. Appreciate that. Shout out to y'all. But a lot of them keep asking me, how did I get to adult prison at 16? So I'm not sure where some of these people are from, but in the United States, pretty much every state has a charge or certain charges that at certain ages you can be charged as an adult. Off the top of my head, don't hold me to this, y'all. There are states where people have been charged as an adult as young as 13 and 14 years old. In fact, being as though I'm making this video right here and I'm doing this live, I can go back and watch it. I'm gonna go do a video for y'all on some of the more tragic cases of people at 13 and 14 years old being charged as an adult. But I'm sure at this point in time, everybody has seen some of these cases in these scenarios where young people are charged as adult. Anyway, in DC, there's a law called Title 16. It was in effect back then. It's still in effect now. However, the Juvenile Comprehensive something changed Title 16, which is how we got this law in DC called IRA, which is the Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act. This case came about once the Supreme Court ruled in cases like Miller and some other case out of Louisiana and I want to say Florida or Alabama that the young person's mind is not fully developed to about 24, 25 years old. These federal cases that went to Supreme Court basically created a situation where a child cannot be given a life sentence and is considered cruel and unusual punishment. However, there are other sentences that juveniles can still be charged as adult for, but they're not supposed to be given life without parole, no chance to redeem or rehabilitate themselves, right? So that's cool. Let me dumb it down a little bit, take it all the way back. My situation ain't that political. Baltimore Mike, what's up, man? But in DC in the early 90s, if you was in the streets and you was in, and what was going on out there and you was playing with them pistols or you was in a game, there was a high likelihood that if you committed a number of about, I want to say 7 to 9 offenses, murder, we don't have attempted murder here, assault with intent to kill, armed robbery, rape, and some other felony with some other felonies with it. All of those charges can get you charged as adult. I ain't gonna really get too deep into what really led me into the streets. We could get into that on another video, a video that I could chop up and edit. But live, I'm just gonna say, we just gonna say I was in the streets and I got charged as an adult. With what come with the the crack era. And the process of me being charged as an adult, I was facing 90 years. That was a long time for me. So at 16 years old, you don't have the experience as an adult. Certain things that adult may take serious, may even be afraid of, may be cautious of, a juvenile in many occasions will disregard caution and wisdom. So I had a partner, I'm not gonna say his name. A lot of people know this dude too. This dude, a thorough dude. This dude grew up in prison just like I did. He's still in prison. But we were both facing a lot of time. I was facing 90 years. He was facing 100 some years. He was facing the death penalty in Maryland at that time. I ain't gonna say he was facing it, but the death penalty was on the table for him. He had a capital offense in Maryland that was punishable by death if he was convicted of it, and they ruled on that. But anyway, we used to smoke a lot of tree down there in the hole. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my father. My father used to make sure we were straight. My father dead, long gone now. But anybody know my father made sure that, the things that you do in prison to pass time, my father made sure we was able to do that. So, in the process of us just being, us being technically, I don't like to use the word kids, but we was kids. I was 16, he was 17. Uh he got found guilty. He went to trial for, a big high profile case. I pleaded guilty to a crime. And basically we were waiting to be sentenced. Some type of way we got a great idea that we were in the hole. So let me explain the jail to you. We was in this place called CTF. It's called the Central Treatment Facility in DC. Anybody been locked up in DC or got somebody that's their family that been locked up in DC, they know exactly what CTF is. But for people that's not from DC, if you familiar with the January 6th fiasco, and they got those people called J6s, those January 6 people that they call rioters, when they locked them up, they put them over DC jail at first. DC jail, a mean mamma jamma, all right? I'm talking rats, roaches, steaming hot in the summer, cold in the winter, things like that, right? However, these January 6 people, in my opinion, they weren't really hardened criminals. Like outside, they was running and screaming and climbing up the Capitol building like they was tough. But when they got over that jail, they seen the food, they seen them knives, they seen how dudes be pressing shit. They couldn't take it. Anyway, they ended up getting sent to what's called CTF, Central Treatment Facility. It's right next door to DC jail. Is a what you call like a causeway or a big old bridge to run from DC jail, which is CDF, the Central Detention Facility, right across the parking lot, basically, to CTF. CTF is more of a program and treatment type place. Since I was a juvenile, they housed me in what was called BMU back then. That's basically the hole. I was in a cell 23 hours a day. It was a cell with a shower in it and a slab of concrete that a mattress is in it. So I used to get a whole lot of different things that you wasn't supposed to have over there. So we smoking, we drinking sometimes, and we knocks a hole in the wall. So if you in this cell, say for instance, I think I was in cell 128 or 228, I forgot the name of the cells. I was in this cell. My man was in the cell next to me. We had knocked the hole out, so we basically could smoke and talk and pass things. Like at night, we'd be looking out the window. From our window, you could see the rec yard. In DC jail, the rec yard of CTF basically faces the backside of the Anacostia area, where you can see like going towards Mississippi, Massachusetts Avenue, parts of Southeast and parts of Maryland, to what's called the west of the jail. I don't want to get too directional for you. The graveyard lies over there. There's about a 20-foot wall, maybe 25. It ain't 30, it ain't big as Lorton, but it's a wall with barbed wire outside of it. So as we sitting down, we smoking. This is 1994, y'all. This is a long time. Statutes of limitation on anything pertaining to this is long gone. Some type of way we got in our young minds that, man, bro, we gonna escape. I don't know how we got it in our head, but we committed to doing it. And in our juvenile minds, we planned on doing it, right? So my father, I ain't gonna call him a jailhouse legend or nothing, but he was locked up with all the dudes that became Lorton legends, all the dudes that got the big time names. So I told my father, I said, man, listen, we about to get up out of here. He was like, what would you take the cop for? Would you take the cop to get the small amount of time for if you gonna do that? Like I was just like, man, listen, how we feeling. We up out of here. We up out of here this weekend, man. So he tried to talk me out of it. He didn't think it was another thing I said, when you're a juvenile, you don't listen to reason. But Pops was like, bro, you tripping. Anyway, game time come. I gotta put this dude in the story because I haven't really told this story like in public like this, so I'm telling it carefully. But my man, he had a dude that he knew that was supposed to be with us. He was older than us. He had already been a Lord. He was an adult. He was in his 20s. He got to talking this gangster prison jailhouse. That's why you got to check these dudes' records when they say who they are. Oh, he like this, he like that. He was supposed to be a part of the plan. The plan was to get the keys from the police. Since we was on detail, me and my man was on detail, and I had to wreck at a certain time. Police messed up when he let us out together anyway. It was technically his fault. That's probably why we didn't get charged. Anyway, The plan was to get the keys from the police, pop the doors. I say it might have been 60 cells in that part of the hole I was in. Pop the doors, let everybody out. Me, my man, and another dude supposed to take the keys, open the keys to the rec yard. When you open the keys to the rec yard, you come out in another little cage. It's like the rec yard for the hole. It's not a real rec yard. It's just a cage with a basketball court in it back there, and you fenced in from the regular, let's say, prisoners. That was supposed to be the game plan. Get out, hit the wall, go over the wall, and become fugitives. I don't know what the next part of the plan was. In our young minds, I don't think we figured that much out. I think we just wanted to get out. We had plans to get out and go on about our business. I mean, as fugitives, maybe, right? I don't know what I don't know what the ultimate plan was. But anyway, to get to the day that that thing went down, because I can remember it like yesterday. My man came to the cell. And shout out to my man Dex. My man Dex was right next door to me. Shout out to Uptown. Dex was right next door to me. He could stamp this. Like if anybody think I'm welling. Came to the door, I said, "You ready?" He said, "Yeah, I'm ready. You ready?" I was like, "Yeah, let's go." So, my heart pounding. Technically, I'm scared. I'm always scared or apprehensive when something dangerous could happen. You know what I mean? So I never forget. He said, "I'm gonna tell the police you said you let you out." So he said, "Hey man, Eon said let him out for the wreck. I told you I come out for an hour wreck, but I got a lock and a sock. I don't know, dudes that been to the feds, you should know what a lock and a sock is. Lock and a sock, like that is a terrible situation right there. Anyway, so the police, he come pop the door. My man in front of him. Now you got to walk down the bottom tier all the way to the back in a little cut. And when I say a little cut, I mean like a little walkway, about 4 foot square, 4 foot this way, 4 foot that way. Boom. When the police get there to open the door for me, turn his back. Boom. My little 16-year-old self at that time cracks him in the head. Bow! Boom, he falls. He stumbles. He don't fall all the way. My man grabs the radio. We get the keys. Boom. I run back down. Put my towel around my neck and all my stuff just in case we get beat up or the mace or whatever happens once we get out the wreck yard. Boom. My man takes the keys. Anybody that been to CTF know the control box. And this is kind of funny to me because I've been in prison. I've been in 17 prisons all over the country. I've never been in a prison where when you in the hole, the control box to open every door in the whole unit is on the wall. We discovered as kids, we had been in the juvenile block. I'll give y'all a story about the juvenile block, North 1, top right. Top left was terrible too. Top North 1 period was terrible. But in the juvenile block over there, all controls to open the cells is in what we call a bubble. It's like a little safe place, a control center within the unit. You can't get to that without getting through the police is on the floor, getting his keys, opening the salad port, opening the bubble within there. That's like three things to do. So that like almost never happens, even in situations where they lose control. But in CTF, not to get off track, the controls to open every cell in the unit is on the wall. Once we let's use the word neutralize. Once we neutralize the CO and got the keys, we open every cell in BMU with the thing on the wall. And we only wanted to open specific cells, but instead of wasting the time to guess what cells we were opening, we hit the button to open every cell on the whole board. Boom, dudes come out. A lot of dudes didn't come out though. Now that I think about it, a lot of dudes were scared to death. A lot of dudes didn't even come out. Now the doors on the bottom that me and my men was in, they were like boxcar cells. What I mean by that is a spool slide that they can shut with a metal door in the window. That door slides. They put your more serious prisoners in it. So me and all my buddies was in those doors. But the doors on the top tier is those when you hit a button, it crack, boom, it's open. All you gotta do is push it and pull it. A rack of them dudes looked out, saw what was going on, and pulled their door back. Boom, that's called locking in. And they locked in. Boom, we get to the rec yard. Now, the police, when I use the word neutralize, I'm not using that word just to be YouTube correct. When I mean neutralize, I mean unconscious, like in a boxing match, knocked out. Boom, we get outside. We got to go through a whole nother row of keys. When I say outside, we're not all the way outside in the rec yard yet. We just in the rec cage for the hole. We get out there, we out there for a long, let's say 30 seconds. We going through the keys. Some other little stuff happened that I don't want to mention in the process. We finally get the keys. They open that door. Boom. I never forget it. When we bust out into the rec yard, it kind of felt like we were already out of the jail because when we got to the rec yard, We have been in the hole for so long, only real sunlight we see is through the cages. Now we really outside on the rec yard. Anybody that been to CTF know that the rec yard that face the graveyard and the river is kind of big and open. Before I was over there, they used to did not have barbed wire and the razor wire fence there. Another dude I knew by the name of Joseph Bright. He was a martial art expert type of dude. He actually ran up the wall step for step, took a lunge, ran up the wall and grabbed it and hopped over it to get away or almost got away. By the time we attempted this matter, there was razor wire and barbed wire all over the fence. So when we hit to the yard, boom, we go straight for the wall. It was dudes, man. I mean, but if you would have seen this in real life, it was like a movie. People was banging on the windows, like the whole side of CTF seeing us out there. Us two juveniles seeing us out there. They was like banging on the windows, like cheering us to go. Let me see if I can show you. I don't know how good you can see my hand, but I got scars on the side of this hand and this hand and right here from climbing through the razor wire, sliced me up. I don't want to sit here and drag the story on like we did some hell of a heroic things outside, but we didn't get all the way over top of the razor wire. In the process of climbing over the razor wire, the amount of time that we had taken to get out of the hole and then get out of the wreck yard for the hole, the sort squad, the sort team, the goon squad, they began to rush down to the hole. So now they coming across the wreck yard for us on a field of grass. The COs from DC jail with the shotguns and the pistols and different things like that, they now coming, but they coming from outside the wall. All of them vamped down on us, and without our trying to, make it sound too glorious on our part, we fought, we fought as much as we could fight, but they ended up beating us down real bad. And then after they beat us down real bad, actually, I got my eyes messed up. My eyes was bloodshot red, and they didn't take me to the hospital for 18 days. But anyway, I'll tell you that part at the end. So toward the end of that, when they got us handcuffed, they took us to an infirmary. They stomped us out, hit us with sticks and mace and all this other stuff again. You know what I mean? We dealt with that. They threw us in the back of a van, never gave us no medical attention. They threw us in the back of a van. Now, DC jail and CTF is in Southeast Washington, DC. The Lorton facility itself sits in, let's say, Fairfax, Virginia. It's about a 30-minute ride. We did this midday. They stopped traffic from DC jail to 395 and from 395 further down the road to make sure that we got to Lorton. So by the time we got to Lorton, it wasn't even dark yet. I want to say I couldn't even see. My whole face was swollen up. My eyes were swollen up. The retina in one of my eyes was slightly detached, they said. And they put us in what's called control cells. Control cells are like boxcar cells that we talk about when we talk about places like Marion and ADX. They put me in the very last cell. There's only 8 cells in this tiny stinking unit. And the last cell that you got there has no windows and only a tray slot and a sliding door. They put me in that cell in complete darkness. This is why a lot of times when I go through things in these days, at times I'd be like, it ain't nothing like what I went through before as a kid or nothing I went through while I was in prison. So I stayed in that cell for 18 days. And the only way I got out of that cell and out of that unit, I ain't even gonna call it a unit, it's called the salad port. It's like a hole. There's a little prison within a prison. The only way I got out of that is because the nurse came to see me and my eyes were starting to open, but my eyes was bloodshot red. And she demanded that they send me back to Washington, D.C., to Southeast, to this hospital called D.C. General Hospital. It was the hospital where they send us to if something happened to us while in prison. And when I got there, they had to do all type of, I ain't gonna say surgeries, but all type of tests and scans and exams on my eye. And I probably should have got a lawsuit, but so many things happened during that time right there that just didn't allow it to go down. Like they didn't charge us with the crimes, they didn't charge us with the assault, they didn't allow us to file no lawsuit. And they kind of like, put us in a situation where as though if we pressed it, that we probably would have ended up being prosecuted. But let me get to the end of the story. At the end of the story, the FBI came to see me and my man later on, and this is why I be so hard on dudes that make statements. When you're in a situation with something that happened to you, and you're being accused of something, when the authorities, in this situation, it was the FBI. When the FBI came to see me, right, the first thing they asked me about was the escape. Let me say that a little clearer. COs came to get me, said I had a legal visit. I need y'all to understand this because I don't do no playing. I said a legal visit. Now I'm supposed to be getting sentenced for my crime. I thought that was the lawyer. When I get to the legal visit office, it's two white men sitting at a desk. I don't know them from Adam. Automatically, I don't sit down. I look at the CO. I say, I thought you said I had a legal visit. He said, this is the legal visit. I looks in the room. I say, what's up? Dude said, man, we with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We want to talk to you about the escape. I said, ain't no escape happening. You need to talk to my lawyer. CO seen it, knew what was up, was like, all right, I'm taking back to the cell block. Soon as I stepped out, my man, who basically is my co-defendant, well, would have been my co-defendant if they charged us, at the other end of the hall. Now imagine I would have went in there and broke some type of code and did some type of talking and walked out. Who do I see? The very first person I see is my man. The very first thing he said to me is, hey, E, what they talking about? I said, man, I don't know what they talking about. I told him to see my lawyer. He said, yeah, I told him the same thing, Slim. That's what you do when the people's come to see you and they ask you about something that ain't supposed to be asked about. You don't do no talking. You plead the fifth and you tell them talk to your lawyer. Free the real.